and then the stream gets going, I believe. I hope the stream's got going, because if not, I'm going to look quite silly. But this is why we have starting screens, because if we don't have starting screens, then it happens, I guess. So, yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome. That's not the version that I'm looking for. Hold on. That's an old version. There we go. That'll do. Welcome to the stream. We have a little bit of discussion to be had. Specifically surrounding Leeds United's business over the last few days, specifically Leeds United's relative lack of business over the last few days. This is around the story surrounding Vanja Milinkovic-SAVAGE, who Leeds United fans looked at and were like, this is a very big man, he's very bald, he's got a beard. He either looks like Joe Wainman but angrier, or he's a very good footballer, and there would be no middle ground. It turns out that he firmly landed in the very, very good footballer sort of territory, which meant that, in spite of the fact that Leeds United fans very much wanted to sign him, it wasn't necessarily going to be the case. It wasn't necessarily going to work out, because there was specific interest in him from Napoli. Now, if you are a footballer that is looking to get to the very, very top of the game and to prove a point, to sort of say, look, international team, you need me rather than anyone else, then you're very, very probably going to pick Napoli over Leeds United. This isn't as, like, so some people have tried to sort of phrase it as me trying to, like, undersell Leeds United as a destination, or to, like, I don't know, the specific phrasing people have used is absolutely wild. But to sort of say that I'm trying to do Leeds dirty a bit, it's not the case in the slightest, to be completely clear about all of that. What has basically happened is one of the top teams in Italy, I believe they came in the top 2 last season in Serie A. I know it went down to the final day, but I can't remember whether or not they won the league. There we go. The winners of Serie A last season have asked the question specifically about Vanja Milinkovic-SAVAGE and said, would you like to come to us instead of going to Leeds United? And it looks like Vanja Milinkovic-SAVAGE has said, absolutely I would, because he's already playing in Italy, he's been looking for a move, wants to make a little bit of an impact, is used to the league, all this kind of stuff, which adds up to a position where, and a lot of people will approach it and be like, this is just that 49ers not acting fast enough. Couldn't be further from the case. Because in this instance, it is 4 candles, for example. Thank you for showing up at that moment, because you have been the perfect example time and time again. Stating Adam Blundell is way out of his depth, etc. Can't get deals over the line. Right, okay. So, I'm going to ask you a genuine honesty. 4 candles. I'm going to ask you for your full, proper, straight up opinion. Put yourself in the shoes of the best goalkeeper in Serie A last season. Someone approaches you saying, we will sign you for a club that are the 3rd most likely to get relegated next season. Probably on the way down, according to all of the bookies. Or the other option, which is the champions of the league that you played in last season, who can offer you Champions League football and very probably a place at the World Cup next year. If you're looking at that completely objectively, rather than from the perspective of a Leeds United fan, where do you think you'd go? I think the sort of sin or problem that Leeds fans like fall into time and time again is believing that Leeds United signing players is like a case of walking into your local Sainsbury's going, fancy that one, fancy that one, I might have that one as well, and then just leaving with the product that you've bought, because that's not the case. At the end of the day, you are trying to employ a person, which is incredibly complex. Surely that... Sorry, on my second monitor I've got the test matchup. But it's very complex when, like, you're not the most attractive prospect, because in this case we're not. Because whilst a lot of us have these sort of ideas in our head that Leeds United are, like, the biggest club around and living in sort of the heyday of the club, we're not there right now. We're not. We've got to be honest. We're not in a place where people are scrapping and jumping over each other to specifically come to Leeds United. But we need to acknowledge simultaneously that, like Four Candles has pointed out here, with the question of why would you go for unrealistic targets then? You don't know they're unrealistic until you ask the question. And if you don't know that Napoli are going for him, because there was a point last week where no one thought that Napoli was in for him, where everyone thought, okay, Napoli have backed away. That's okay. At that point, you go for it. Because simultaneously, right? If you are looking at deadline day, last time Leeds United came up, you would probably look at a Brazilian winger with incredibly good numbers who is offered Champions League football, and the selling club want to sell him for less than they bought him for 12 months earlier, and you would say, that is a ridiculous, unrealistic deal that you will never get done. Bollocks. But that happened with Rafinha. You're not going to get the good players unless you have the nuts to go for it. And I'm quite glad that we're having the nuts to go for that. On the Sunderland-y thing, it does seem to be a case of Sunderland are willing to bend significantly more when it comes to contract negotiations. So there's been a little bit of discussion around relegation release clauses, all that sort of stuff, which is, at the end of the day, what these players are going to want, whereas we have very, very recently experienced what those release clauses can do to a club, so are taking the healthier approach of A, probably not offering the same level of wages, and B, making sure that we're not just sort of giving the player all of the power in those negotiations, in my opinion. Which is good. I think that's a healthy place for us to be, because at the same time, you will have people... Also, the PSR wiggle room is a bit bigger. That's a very good point. Thank you, Tim. But at the same time, you'll have people being like, I can't believe we're paying... No, that's not out. Saying, like, I can't believe we're paying Pat Bamford 70 grand a week. I can't believe we're paying Jack Harrison 90 grand a week. The reason that those contracts happened was because we handed the power over to the player. So with the Jack Harrison one, it was a case of, well, we kind of refused him a move away from Leicester, so we kind of owe him one. Also, we're probably on the way down. He's in a position of power here. The thing with Bamford, he scored 17 goals in the Premier League the season before. At that point, that was the sort of wage that a player of that calibre was earning. So he'd played himself into that position of power. And I think the sort of mistake that we made was we gave players too much power in those discussions. And then when we got relegated, we got absolutely pumped. We got beaten senseless based on that. Whereas right now, we're doing the slightly more rational, sane thing of not burning the club to the ground in the pursuit of players that aren't necessarily going to do the job for us, which I think is nice and sensible. That's not Dr. Cox. Dr. Cox says that Sunderland are after Ramsdale. Honestly, in my opinion, they can have him. I don't rate Ramsdale as highly as I've seen a lot of people rating him. It's not really... I don't grab onto that. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't mind him moving away, to be completely honest with you. If he ends up at Sunderland, that's fine. I don't think he's the sort of goalkeeper that is of a calibre to transform a relegation season into not a relegation season. In terms of shot stopping, he's sort of on par, whereas we need a little bit better than that, I think. Also, on the shaving the tash thing, yes, because this is a fun one. When it comes to... Hello, Darren. When it comes to being on camera for stuff, I get really, surprisingly nervous, which you wouldn't necessarily believe in spite of the amount of time that I've spent on a camera in the past 2 years. But I do, and the production for the charity match is going to be a few 4K cameras, which they're expensive. and they're very good, and they pick out details on the face. And I'll be honest, I don't particularly like me with Stash. I mainly kept it around because I was being lazy, because I was working my arse off for the past month. That is now done. The tash is now shaved, and the full focus is on the charity match at the minute, which is quite fun. But yes, the tash is gone. We promised to be aggressive in the transfer market. All I've done is be extremely timid. Right, okay, at the same time, if we were being that timid, would we have put in that £32 million bid for Muniz? That doesn't feel timid. That feels fine. That feels like we're doing what we can, which is building at the back, sorting the foundations of the squad out first, which is sensible, and then pushing forward as we go. A lot of people would have liked on the very first day of the transfer window to go, well, we signed this guy for 40 million, this guy for 50 million, and this guy up here, he's another 40 million. And they are a striker, a 10, and a winger. And that's nice. But that's also completely useless. Oh, he's not out there. And that's also completely useless if you are conceding about 90 goals in a season. So I think it's probably worth building from the back, and it's not like players just stop existing. It's fine. It's all good. Have hold the tickets sold. Do you mean have all the tickets sold? Because if that is your meaning, no, not all of the tickets have sold. So if you fancy, you can get a ticket for the Leeds Creator Cup. Link down below. As I learned the other day, apparently there's a little bit of an issue with getting tickets on mobile. For some reason, mobile payments are struggling a little bit, so do so on a PC if possible. But if it's not, then we can work through it. It's fine. Or you can get tickets on the day. Because, right, this is how invested in this damn event I am. I got a damn card reader for this thing. I'm going to use it once in my life, and it's at this charity event. So if you don't have a ticket yet, please come along. And at the very worst, you will get to firsthand witness me struggling to get a card reader working, which should be good fun. Hey folks, that's an ideal start to the week. Could do with some good news now. Yeah, it'd be nice. I would like us to get a couple of deals done before the Scum match. But I'm not gonna be in a spot of things are knacked, regardless. Could do with some positive news for Sunday, if nothing else. Do you mean Sunday, the Creator Cup, or do you mean something else on Sunday? Because something else on Sunday, Leeds Pride is still going ahead, if that's the good news that you're looking for. So that's fun. In terms of other positive news, there is a winger that we are reportedly having a look at signing. So Tom Fellows at West Brom has been linked with Leeds United. Admittedly, a lot of people will look at that and go, it's not good enough. But I think he's a pretty damn good move. If I can just pull up his information. There we go. Tom Fellows, 21 years of age, is a fairly decent profile for what we need. So can do stuff out on the right-hand side, which we don't really have any of. I like the idea of sending Joffy the other way as well, because it makes sure that that gets done. However, as is always the case with these deals, it will have to be two separate financial deals rather than a straight swap, because straight swaps don't work. Straight swaps are horrible for FFP, and that is why nobody does them anymore. Lucas Perry, potentially. I think Perry is one that is potentially coming in. People won't like fellows from West Brom, they'll say it's shopping at Poundland, not Harrods. Well, yeah, but we're not shopping at Harrods anyway. A lot of people will be like, why aren't we splashing the cash? And it's like, okay, let's have a look at Chelsea, shall we? We should just sign João Pedro, Evan Ferguson, Bino Gittins, any other fucker. Like, realistically, Championship players again, they don't want to spend big, do they? They will! Jesus fucking Christ. There is a month and a half of this window left. A month and a half. which is a long ass time. The fact that we are so intent on this like doom spiral of everything is done, we're in trouble. Oh no, what will we do? Like, I'll be honest, from my perspective, the last 3 days have not been fun. The specific reason the last 3 days have not been fun is because, from a person who does content perspective, it's been a case of, okay, so I'm gonna have to think of something to do here. Oh, that's not good. So, for example, a lot of the time when I pull out like a weird stream, or there's just some content that is like, no one else is doing that in the slightest. It's not me being creative, it's me not having any news at all anywhere. It's all good. Even Burnley have spent more. Have they spent it well, though? Is the important follow-up question to that. Let's have a quick look. Because they're also going to lose Trafford. Let's have a look. Burnley transfers. Why waste 20 million on Sargent? Pointless signing. I don't think we will. I think Sargent is too injured too much of the time for that to be a clever move. Okay, so they've got Chiwanga in from Lazio, who isn't necessarily very good. Bashir Humphreys, who, fine. Marcus Edwards, who they had to sign. Jaden Anthony, who they had to sign. Jan Fleming, who... Did they have to sign him, or did they have him last season? I can't quite remember. Brun Larson, okay, fine. Like, and well done to them. They've got Twan Zebby and Kyle Walker on a free and unknown. Like, come on. I think by comparison, comparing the amounts that we have spent, we're doing reasonably well. A lot of theirs was, like, for example, Jaden Anthony for 9 million quid. Is that a good deal? I'm not convinced, to be honest with you. I think that's a stinker. And the fact that that was based on the fact they got promoted means that, in addition to that, they'll have to pay him a pretty big wage. Because that tends to need to... Come on, brain. That tends to have to be agreed, I think is a good phrasing for that, before the move happens in the first place. So Anthony is going to be rolling in money. And on Anthony or Harrison... Sorry, the window's open, I don't know if you heard that. On Anthony or Harrison, of the two, I couldn't really pick one because I'm not that fond of either. But one of them is very much cost-free to us. At the minute we've got Melier. Yeah, we do at the minute. But he will not play, let's be honest. We will find a move for him. And as much as we're saying, like, at the minute we've got Melier, yeah, because it takes time to get players in. So, for example, like, anyone that's saying, oh, I can't believe they're just planning to have Melier in for the entire season. If they were planning on that, why would we be linked to Perry and Pope and Ramsdale and Petrovic and MILINKOVIC-SAVAGE and Dachman? Those links don't exist. Ollie's saying that he'd be disappointed if we made Burnley signings. Honestly, same. It's not a good set of moves. Who's going to buy Melier? That's the question. I honestly believe somewhere in the French league. I don't know if it link but no move. Okay, sure. And at the same time, let's have a think of an example, shall we? I had an example in my head for this the other day, and it's gone. Okay. Gyökeres has been linked to a lot of moves, but he's not permanently signed. But at the same time, everyone knows that he's going to not be at... is it Sporting? Is it? He's not going to be at Sporting next season. Because shit happens. It takes a while. Imagine Melier plays well against Scum and they take him. Oh, please. Drop look who... What? I don't know what you mean. Oh! No shot. That's ridiculous. Sorry, the cricket match just ended. A ball spins, their player gets a bat on it, goes straight down. However, it goes straight down with a backspin on it, so it just drops to the floor and rolls into his stump. Oh, it's not great. That's not great. Give what? I'm confused. India needed 30 to win. They were down to 22. They were doing pretty damn well, to be honest. At this point, I just want the club to announce any hiring. Dave, the new fella on the toll booth, now announce him. Sandra, the tea lady, announce. Just give us something. Okay, this is a little bit of... We're talking about a real sport, not cricket. Well, no, because we're talking about a fantasy sport if we were to make the transfers that you want to. Because seemingly, football is as easy as FIFA. I'm messing. Yeah, a little inside thing on what Mr. Dodo has said here. The reason that on Twitter, when we were announcing that Lucy was going to be doing some of the pitch side commentary stuff, well, commentary interviews, it's not completely decided yet. It'll be a little bit above. Quick look at the replay. Hold on. Right, it's a pretty good defensive shot, and it just rolls. Oh, he's going to want the ground to just swallow him up. Right, anyway. The reason that we put a little bit more effort into the announcement was because there hadn't been any transfer news. Was because it was like, right, okay, everyone is kind of desperate for something to happen. Is the best way to make something happen just sort of forcing something to happen, even if it's not club related? And it kind of worked out for us. So, and on that note, get tickets to the charity match. Thank you. But yeah, outside of that, there's been a little bit more stuff on Lucas Perry. Let's have a quick look at where I saw that. Was it James Marshman that did a tweet? Let's have a look at Marshall Leeds. There we go. Leeds understood to have made contact with the agent of Lucas Perry as Leon's valuation comes to light. Nick Pope, meanwhile, looks increasingly difficult. On that note, and I know that people hate the words looks difficult. Why are we getting so het up over things that of a specific wording that journalists are using? It's not a problem. It's fine. Like, if the club were walking into it and a journalist asks them, are you interested in making this move? And they're like, yeah, it's going to be a piece of piss though, innit? Like, that's never going to happen, because then if things go wrong, then you're like, well, it looked like a piece of piss, and it turns out it wasn't a piece of piss, so we're now drinking the piss. It's not a good place to be. Realistically, you want to sort of set lower expectations and overperform, rather than set these massive expectations with people being like, yeah, we're going to sign Nick Pope and it's going to be really easy. And then we'll also sign Lucas Perry as a backup. And then we'll sign Pau Xiao. And then we'll sign Van Aert. And Neymar's going to actually be good again and he's going to come as well. Like, it's way more sensible from like a PR and a marketing and just a sanity perspective to approach it as, no, yeah, it's going to be difficult to get this move done, but we're hopeful. Because you're setting like those rational expectations. It just works. It comes back into the room, Matteo Joseph, when I'm drinking the piss. Look, you might be drinking the piss. I don't know. Who am I to judge if you want to be drinking the piss? Not me. That's horrible. Guy at Sporting linked with many clubs and going to Arsenal. Big difference with Meslier. Yeah, he's not got the most links. He's not got many. But even if he doesn't leave, that doesn't say that we don't sign a new goalkeeper. It's not a case of we need Meslier to leave before we sign anyone, because that's not how that works. Like, there'll be a move. It's fine. We got upset at a good point at Luton, so of course we'll get our collective knickers in a twist regarding lots of money transfers, especially when everyone else seems to be doing better. That's the thing though, right? Because approaching last season, basically everyone, upon the potential signing of Autanaka, was like £3.4 million. The German, there's Weiter the second Bundesliga. So that's going to be shit. And saying that instead we really, really badly need to spend £25 million in the Championship on Gus Hamer. No. We can just it's okay to just be okay. Is a message that I feel like a lot of people don't get. Without spending big on a goalkeeper, we always go for the cheap option. So why were we willing to have those conversations with Milinkovic-Savage? Why were we having those conversations with Lucas Perry? If we weren't spending big on a goalkeeper, then we would go for like a Sam Johnston. Or we would go for... Who's the bastard at Sheffield United? Michael Cooper, maybe? I don't know. Championship rubbish. We don't need to be paying attention to the Championship anymore, do we? It's not about when the players come, it's about getting the right players to stop the meltdown. Yeah. Honestly, this is the spot that I'm in. Let's make the right signings rather than the soonest and the most expensive signings. Because chucking 35 million quid in the general direction of Weston McKennie would have been stupid. And we need to not be doing that again. If we can help it. Wolves got a beast today. John Arias, possibly the best player in Brazilian Serie A, which is a tough league nowadays. Yeah, he was really, really impressive at the Club World Cup. Did a vote thing on one of the events that I was running to see who people's player of the tournament was. He came 4th, which is quite impressive, considering what happened to Chelsea and PSG. Championship rubbish show also fell as a decent... Yeah, obviously. No, there is a difference, though. Like, I don't mind young, promising winger that's just won the under-21s Euros, but when it comes to goalkeeping, I think we're coming off the back of young and inexperienced not working for a bit. So let's go for a little bit more experience and a bit of a bigger profile. Problem we got, can Farker adapt to the Premier League is the big question. It's a good question, to be fair. But it's a question that no one is going to ever know the answer to until it's been tried. Like, you could never be able to answer it unless he's had a go with a decent budget behind him. And if we do underspend, absolutely, I'm not going to be happy. Someone on Joe's stream earlier was like, Joe B, he's just a propaganda outlet. Like, no, there is stuff that I criticize and there is stuff I have criticized. The video I did last week that was like, finally we're actually getting some under-21 signings in, is something that is genuinely something I've been critical of the club around. Because we need a little bit more depth in the 21s, because that's how you get that long-term security and safety and happiness and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of transfer stuff, I've always sort of been of the opinion that give the owners time and let them cook. You don't make a roast dinner in 15 minutes. And then if we're approaching the end of the window and there's a week left and we've got like 8 or 9 jobs to do, be critical. But I think having a go at someone for not completing the job 6 weeks before the deadline for completing the job is a bit nuts. Like, yeah, I don't know. But look at Germany, he was the same old. Yes, but he was the same old in a side that should have been better at dominating possession. It's a different league. It's fine. We'll see how it goes. Is there any confusion on the Joseph 24 million valuation reporting or otherwise getting crossed? That is a thing that has gotten confused, where a few people, I think in my comments section, didn't watch the entire video before they commented, like, Joseph is never worth £24 million. I was like, I've never said that he is worth £24 million. The specifics around that are Matteo Joseph. Hold on, I'll find the wording that I used in the thumbnail, because the thumbnail is always quite useful, because I'm very, very careful with the way that I word things. Okay, maybe I phrased this one quite badly. Matteo is it linked with a potential £24 million transfer. This isn't his. Do you believe in the bullshit about him being? No, I'm in the middle of explaining this. Take a moment. I will get there. It's not that Matteo Joseph is the £24 million transfer in this context. It's that Matteo moving to Real Betis would rely on what's his fucking name? Boyer Iglesias moving, which is an estimate of about 24 million quid. That's what's going on with that situation, rather than like Matteo's worth 24 million pounds. He's not, realistically. He could be in the future if he's able to kick on and do quite well somewhere, but I don't know if he will be able to do that. So we'll see. Might be holding back for some Rafinha style deals. Maybe. I don't think that would be wise to just have an incomplete squad going into deadline day, because that's how you end up in the situation where it's like, we're signing Cody Gakpo. Don't sign Cody Gakpo. We're signing Bamba Dieng. Don't sign Bamba Dieng. We're signing Willie Gnonto. Cool, we needed a number 9. Let's not do that. And the way that we do that is by having players in a timely manner, which I think we'll do. I think it might just take a little bit of a while, I suppose. Unless we get something done this weekend and chill fans out before the Scum game. I am just imagining a world in which everyone is just pooing themselves going into the match against Scum and being like, we've not signed anyone. This isn't a good enough lineup. Oh, we're playing Ilya Gruev against Scum. Ilya Gruev! And then we'll just end up winning like 3-1 or something in a fairly dominant manner. Just imagine that. Imagine what that would do to the fan base. They'd go nuts. It'd be great. This is a very good point as well. The 49ers are literally trying to save a few million here and there, and it's costing us. One, a few million here and there can be the difference between signing a player and not signing a player. Specific example that I've used. If you combine Bornau's fee and wages, it'd be about 7 million quid. Our bid for Diarra was 23. Diarra was sold for 30. If we go in and sign Diarra for 30 million quid, suddenly we can't sign Bornau. It's a bit more sensible that way around. Predicted lineup on who you think starts. I will go Darlow, Bogle, Rodon, Beal, Gudmundsson, Tanaka Ampadu. You guys aren't going to like this one, but Aronson. James on the right, Ramazani on the left. And I would like to say Pat Bamford, but I will say Piru, because Piru hasn't missed a single game of football at Leeds United under Daniel Farker. So that's how we'll do it, you know? Bookmark this. We start the season with either Melier or Darlow in goal and Aronson and Gruev in midfield. I don't mind Aronson and Gruev, I'll be honest. I wouldn't hugely mind Darlow starting in goal. I have a feeling Metch might start against Scum, maybe Schmidt also. Maybe, that's not a bad shout. Right, cool. Where was I going? Oh yeah, there was another comment that I wanted to sort of refer back to, but I can't find it. Andy Rowe. The lack of satisfaction in transfers make for good content in a strange way. You want to know the really annoying thing? Right. And this bugs me a little bit. And it's not a thing that I really talk about, because it's like, whenever I'm like, this specific thing in making videos annoys me, I don't particularly get to like talk about it too much. 1 second. Hold on. Okay, cool. I am more back now. Sorry about that. Kayla gave me a call because she is currently on the way back from work. I don't have a thing for that. There we go. Right, what did I miss? That was it. So, with saying the lack in satisfaction of transfers is making for good content, the annoying thing is the lack of satisfaction in transfers is what makes for content that does big numbers. And the fact that, like, a lot of people, like, Joe's just put it on fake positivity because it helps his YouTube channel. No, it doesn't. It actively harms my YouTube channel to not dive headfirst into the paranoid stuff. Because you do, like, views would go through the fucking roof if I was like, no, I'm angry now. And this is genuinely how I'm feeling. I'm feeling fine. And a lot of people might not be, but that's okay. We can all feel the way we are. What's the score with the goalkeepers? It looks like Vanya Milinkovic-Savage is going to Napoli instead. Oh, hello, Amy Rogers. It is additionally looking like... Fuck. Sorry, I poked a penknife and I forgot that they'd stab you. Lucas Perry is in contact with Leeds United, which is quite good. But yeah, that's the vibe. Outside of that, a little bit of chat about Pope, but it's not looking hugely doable. Pods do great numbers when things are shit, weirdly, misery loves company. Yeah, I think people just sort of like... There's a band of people that like to feel like they're proven right. And that's the people that are like, things are rubbish. And it's like, well, no, because this is working the same as the other summer windows have worked with the 49ers. And they went pretty fucking well by the end of them. I don't know. Je ne sais pas. Anyway, I'm going to end the stream relatively suddenly because it must be difficult to create content with the 49ers moving silence. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Would you sooner garner clicks over integrity on rumour transfer targets? The fact that I'm not screaming my head off and being like, why aren't we doing anything? We're getting relegated. Oh, shit. Is a sign that I'm focusing on the integrity side of things. Because this is just, I would rather be honest because it's who I am. And it's the same for basically every other creator, to be fair. It's just those that lean in negativity tend to do a little bit better. Anyway, I need to end the stream now because I'm going to call my wife, who is on the way back from work. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, pop a like on the stream. That's always massively appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't yet. For every subscriber that I've got full-time in the charity match, another 1p will be going directly to Prostate Cancer UK from my bank account, so you can make me bankrupt. And you can even become a channel member. It's $2.99 a month. You get a bunch of videos and stuff early as a thank you. It'd be lovely. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed. And I will see you later. Au revoir.